welcome to this edition of the Spartan Sports Report. Got Athletic Director Brent Duncan with us today, and we're still missing our partner and hope to have him back ready for shows when we resume. By the way, this will be the last show of this school year, and we will be back in August with more, but in the meantime, we got a little bit to talk about.
Yeah, hopefully Fran will be back when we resume and get a full year in next year. And I hear he's doing better, and hopefully he'll continue to get better and get back to his independency that he kind of enjoys and takes care of. So yeah, miss seeing him here and miss seeing him at the game. So
he's an amazing man, and yeah, we wish him the best, and want him right back over there in his regular seat come August. So
hopefully he'll be sitting there.
I had an opportunity to speak with him, and he is doing well, but he does miss this and miss being around the student athletes.
Yeah, you know, he's a staunch supporter and has been for many, many years, and always has those insightful questions that he wants to ask you. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure we all miss those at times. So.
Yeah, we do. And guy that I grew up listening to, and you know, someone that I've strived to be as good as he is and what he has done over the years with Spartan Sports.
Well, you only got about 20 more years to go to catch up with him, so
I know.
Keep fine-tuning that art. So.
It was announced this morning that Spartan Bowl has been named the best high school gym in the state of Indiana. I know we've been voting, and it was kind of like a Chicago election, early and often, but we encouraged people to vote often, and Spartan Bowl came out on top.
Yeah, they, in conjunction with the NC, 2A tournament, and sent out a thing, I don't know, probably a little over a month ago, about 68 gyms in Indiana, unique gyms, not necessarily size, but design, and just the difference. If you've never been, I've been in quite a few of them when I started looking at them. Not been in the Green Dome. That's kind of bright if you look at that on that thing, but voted, and we both got an email, us and Newcastle got an email last week that we were definitely the top two by far, and we'd both already doubled the amount of votes that had ever been given towards one school in any poll last week. And I'm sure it got hit up a little bit towards the end. But results came out today, and we finished at the top of that poll as the best high school gym in Indiana. So,
yeah, it was pretty cool. They also picked up on what we dubbed it many years ago as the Grand Palace on Grand Avenue, something that Brett and I started way back. I said one night, we're at the Palace on Grand, and he said the Grand Palace on Grand Avenue, and I open every show at home with that, calling it that, and it's cool that other people realize that as well.
Well, I got to look at the top 10, and I think I've been in 8 of those 10, and obviously Newcastle's is the largest, and we've always said it's the largest, but not necessarily the finest, and I think you'd have a hard time finding another gym that's as spectator friendly as what Spartan Bowl is to come and watch a basketball game.
And it's I credit it not just the design, but the atmosphere, the fans, the band, the Spartanettes, the cheerleaders, the tradition that we have game in and game out that doesn't change, but people like that.
Yeah, I think when you find something that seems to work, and I know it's been a long-standing tradition, and you always get questions, why don't we change things? And I think that's harder to do than to find something new that might fit what we've done, and what has been done for Lord knows how many years seems to be well-liked and appreciated by not only our kids, which is the most important part, but also our spectators. And we get a lot of compliments from our incoming visitors as well, not only on the facility, but everything we do with our kids that are involved. So,
you mentioned that, and I've heard that a few times about why don't we change it up? Would you ask Anderson to change up the chief and the female coming out like they do, and the dance that they do? I know they're not at the Wigwam anymore, but certain places have certain traditions.
Yeah, and like I said, I think people kind of enjoy it, and I definitely know our kids enjoy it, not only from the girls or the boys or the basketball kids, but the kids involved, the Spartanettes, the cheerleaders, the band, the Spartan. That's all part of the tradition, and I think they all enjoy being a part of that.
Yes, and you mentioned girls' games as well, and most places we go to, they may not even have cheerleaders at a girls' game, but here at Connersville, it's equal opportunity, and both the boys and the girls get the same
Yeah,
basic pregame, and having the band there and Spartanettes and the rest.
There's a little bit of difference in the girls and the boys just beginning, but if you go to a lot of the away games, you don't see any of that. And like
No.
you said, a lot of times there's not even cheerleaders there. And obviously we don't take our full set of cheerleaders on the road, but we take half of them each game. And if they do 8 boys games, they're going to do 8 girls games on the road. So if they do 10 boys games at home, they'll be doing 10 girls games at home. So that's a rarity, but that's the only right way to do it. So it's good for our kids and shows that we care not just about basketball for boys, but the other 19 sports and the dancers and the cheerleaders that go along with it. So that's 22 groups that we hope to give the best attention to that we can give. So,
And it's been great attention today and over the last several weeks with this voting and the competitions going on. Good statewide recognition for our community that at times we get the short end. We get the bad news about Connersville, but here this is good news.
I'd say probably 98% of the stuff that happened here is pretty good. It's only that 2% that gets reported on, and it gets kind of blown out of shape. But a lot of great people in town, a lot of great people in the community and the county, and a lot of support in their surrounding counties. If you really want to know, there's a lot of people from out of town that come watch our basketball games and come and visit Spartan Bowl during the wintertime. So great place, great venue, and we hope to continue that tradition for a long period of time.
I want to talk a little bit now, wrap up some winter sports activities here. The state finals results from Saturday in 4A. Carmel beat Lawrence North 51-46 in overtime. I didn't get to see that, but that had to be a good game. I don't know.
Yeah,
were you able to go to state finals?
I was there all day long, so they were all really good games, even though the 2A game doesn't look quite as good as the score at the end. But until late in the game, it was really, really close.
Then in 3A, in a close one, Silver Creek, a team that beat us by 1 down at Washington, they won over Leo 50-49, and I listened to that when I was down in the Louisville, Jeffersonville area, and I had on the Big X down there in Jeffersonville, and listened to that game until I got almost to Columbus, and I couldn't get it anymore. Then I didn't know what happened until I got home, but that was an exciting game.
Yeah, I mean, it was back and forth. Kind of slow start early. I won't say they all shot real well, but that's true for a lot of the teams there. And I think it's just a little bit, they don't get to practice there, and it's such a different atmosphere, and it's a little bit bigger than most gyms that we play in, so that shooting background's just a tad off. And nobody's played in there for 2 years, and they've remodeled and redone it, and so it's a little bit of different shooting environment. But they were great games, but you think back to the 3A regional final, it's just a bucket here, a stop here, and everybody thinks of the things at the end, but you got to think of all the things that happened during the course of the game. That could change the outcome of that game. Not saying we could be in there, but we had opportunity, and I think that's what I hope people realize with a lot of our sports, a lot of our teams. It's not like we're way far away. It's just everything's got to be in the right spot at the right time, and it's got to be a commitment by everybody from the top to the bottom.
Oh, we were
Can't have those little fractures.
Elite 8 of Class 3A.
Yeah, you think, and we've talked about this before back when we were in 4A, and whether we'll be back in 4A a year from now or not, I don't know. But the teams you're used to playing in the semi-state are now sometimes your sectional opponent. So I think people forget how difficult that is when you get to that, where you're not playing the smaller schools to get out of the sectional anymore. You're playing your size schools, and winning the sectional is a big deal, more than it used to be. Not that it wasn't a big deal 50 years ago or 30 years ago, but it's a little different deal when you're in class basketball, playing schools of your own size, and sometimes a discrepancy in enrollment size.
And the regional's like a semi-state, like it was.
Yeah, and then you think back to 4A, you're playing Richmond, Newcastle, Anderson all in the same, and you go back to 83, 2 of those, your state final opponent and your semi-state opponent. So, and now they're possibly in your sectional. So.
Yeah, 1 bucket away, though, from having that opportunity to go to semi-state. And
the turnover, a free throw, a bucket, a point, a stop, a rebound.
Kids did well.
They did. They represent us well, and they represented town well as well.
And with what we got coming back, everything has to fall into place. But on the other hand, we could be right back there in regional competition a year from now.
Oh, I think we have the potential to be there, and it's a commitment, and it's not only a commitment by the kids, but it's a commitment by their families and commitment by everybody involved in the program to know that we're all trying to get the best out of every kid, and Coach Brown is working on that. So, as well as, all of our other coaches, that's what they're striving to do, is to get them as best as they can be, and it takes buy-in not only from the athletes but their families and the commitment it takes to get that.
You mentioned the 2A game. In 2A, it was Fort Wayne Blackhawk over Park Heritage, 55-40, and finally in 1A, Bar Reeve outgunned Couts, 64-48. Let's back up a minute here. IHSA announced that there'll be no reclassification this year, which I think is probably a smart thing to do because of everything that's transpired, but with the pandemic and things being on somewhat of a delay. Now that we know that we'll be in 3A next year for the tournament, and we know that we have the best gym in the state of Indiana, I would hope we could push to get that sectional back here at the Palace.
There hasn't been any discussion on how we're going to decide that yet. So it was decided last Friday at the board meeting that we would freeze the class. Now, success factor still will take place. The only difference is that the boys basketball programs and all the spring sports cannot be moved up a class because you got to earn 6 points. You get 4 for winning the state, and then 1 for sectional, 2 for regional, and so forth. But nobody had that opportunity. So the most they can get is 5. So there's nobody going to be moved up in those sports to the next class. But in the fall and the winter, from the girls' basketball back, they could all get bumped down or moved up because they've had an opportunity to have 2 years of success. Then they'll reevaluate all again next year off of this year's success factor and next year's success
But
factor.
if somebody is bumped down or bumped up, that doesn't affect anybody else? Is that how I read that?
No, I think they put in a rule about a year or two ago that just because somebody gets moved up doesn't mean that somebody's going to get moved down. If your enrollment is an enrollment without the success factor, you're going to stay in that class. If that makes any sense. I had a call from one school who has been playing 6A football but have not won a sectional in the last 2 years, but they aren't 6A enrollment. So based on the last sentence of that, the release that the IHSA put out, you can either be moved up or revert back to your class one step at, and they can't drop 2 classes at a time, but you can drop back 1 step at a time. So
the success factor just, I don't think it's fair to the incoming class, but you graduate all your seniors and you start over with JV. How is that fair? But that's.
I mean, you take Webo, they've won 3 straight football titles. You almost can't leave them in the class they're in. They've won 3 in a row. Happened to be one was on the tail end of the last reclassification, and they won both of them in this last one right here, the last 2 years. So I heard a lot of talk about how do you leave them in the 2A class when they just won 3 in a row. So. But right or wrong, it's kind of helped balance out the parochial schools a little bit. Those that tend to recruit more than others. And if you move up and you win 2 sectionals, you're still pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good.
So.
Yeah, and like you say, the parochials, the cathedrals of the world. And
yeah, I think people don't realize, Connersville has obviously its school boundaries, which happens to be Fayette County because we're the only school in Fayette County. But if you're a parochial school and you don't set your boundaries, then your boundaries is the county. So if you live in Marion County and have no boundaries, you can recruit from the north end of the county to the south end of the county to the east and the west. And there's been legislation or proposals to get it to be the donut counties too, and thinking what that would be like around Marion County if you could also get from the donut counties. So Hamilton and Hancock and keep going everywhere. Hendricks.
It would be more, it was kind of a crosstown shootout in the 4A boys state finals with Carmel and Lawrence North within 15 miles of each other. Just geographically, that's the way the state works out for the north and the south. But you might have more of that if they use the donut counties.
Exactly. So we'll hope that never gets voted in.
I hope it doesn't either. And you're going off the board.
As of June, I'll be off.
But now, having we staying in 3A and not knowing where we're going, maybe you could have stayed another year.
Well, we talked about that, but that didn't happen. And the principal at East Central is actually the one who won the election and will be taking my seat. So the EIC will have another representative on the board, Tom Black.
That's good geographically for Southeast Indiana.
Yeah, and unfortunately for us, we went from 4A to 3A, and I'm the 4A rep, so since we're no longer 4A.
That's right. I was thinking it was going the other way.
Nope, I can't stay in the 4A seat when you can finish out your term, but since we didn't go back up to 4A, I couldn't run for the 4A seat again. So 3A seat was already occupied, so can't bump them out because they're already in there. So we'll wait and see what happens 2 or 3 years from now. So.
All right, let's change a little bit here and talk about some spring sports and this week's schedule at CHS. Softball is at Newcastle today at 5. The boys' baseball team is at Batesville at 5:30 this evening, and you can catch that on ihsatv.org. Bryce Kendrick will have that one. On Tuesday, the girls' tennis is at Greensburg at 5. Softball at East Central at 5:30. And on Thursday, busy day, girls tennis at home with Batesville at 5, baseball at home versus Batesville at Spartan Field at 6, girls and boys track at Centerville at 5, and on Friday, the girls tennis team will be at Shenandoah at 5. And then on Saturday, baseball at Yorktown at 11, softball at Union County at 11, and the boys golf at Yorktown at 10. So, I don't know if I had any of that messed up or not. But
we actually got girls softballs at home tonight with Newcastle.
Oh, it's at home. Okay.
And then on Friday, we also have JV baseball against Richmond.
Okay. I didn't put any of the JVs.
Well, that's all right. JV softball plays at home tomorrow night against Newcastle. And then they're going to actually travel to Mount Vernon on Wednesday. We just had that today. So
nice to have spring sports underway.
Yeah, I mean, it's
been
a while.
Last year.
It's been a whole year, so everybody asks how good are we going to be at certain sports, and it's really hard to say because you don't know what happened in that last year. You know, kids have changed, they've grown, some graduated, and some you thought were going to play are not here, and you don't really know what they're going to be like. I know our softball team got off to a decent start on Saturday, and unfortunately lost the first one, a heartbreaker 3-2 to Greensburg, and then come back and ruled them in game 2, 13-3. So we'll see if we get a little dose tonight with Newcastle, see if we can put some numbers up on them. Baseball's traveling to Batesville today, so they're going to get a taste. And they opened up with a win over Richmond 8-7. And
that's a good thing.
After trailing by 4, coming into I think they were trailing by 3, coming into the top of the 7th, scored 4 runs in the top of the 7th. And, and they're young. I mean, they have a lot of sophomore kids playing. And, softball's a little different than baseball. Softball, you just got to have one good pitcher. Baseball, you got to have a whole load of now with the number of pitch counts based on the rules that the baseball guys. And track's down a little bit in numbers and overall, but I think I think last year hurt the track program a little bit, only because if I was one of those marginal kids like, I like to run because my friend's out there, then you just took a year off. It's like, oh, I kind of enjoy not going out there with my buddies if I'm just going to be part of it. So hopefully with another year under our belt and we get back to next year, our numbers will continue to go back up. Boys golf started over the weekend and did well for their opening match at Edinburgh. And we'll find out at the Players Club this weekend in Muncie, which is a regional site for most of us. So I think Jonah shot 78, I think, on Saturday to lead us in scoring. And I think Coach thinks we can scrape about 20 strokes off our 359, which, 359 take the top 4 and divide it by, 360 would be an average of 90, so we're in the 80s as a total. And, in our really, really good years, most of them are average in the upper 70s, so we got a few of them's got to cut a few strokes off of there, but it's early. It wasn't the greatest day on Saturday. A little cold, a little brisk. And if you've been on Edinburgh's golf course, it's pretty wide open. So Timber Creek there just south off of 65. So,
I've been by there many times.
Pretty open area. So the wind's blowing. It does have a little effect on the ball. So girls tennis gets started this weekend, and we'll see what Coach Bloom puts out. We graduated a couple girls, and of course nobody played last year. So everybody's going to be pretty new to fighting for spots. So we'll see how things go.
Got some coaches, new coaches for last year that didn't get to coach anything. So
all of our softball coaches are new, and Steve Rubel and Jamie Becker. Well, used to be Jamie Ham. Jamie Becker will be the varsity coaches, and then we have Jason McHenry and Jared Glob going to be on our JV squad, and we got a lot of volunteers out there. And then Coach Thompson took over baseball 2 years ago, and he'll get his second swing at trying to put a team out on the field with Mr. Coach Myers and then Mike Bottomley, and Sean Russell's going to coach our JV team. You remember Sean pitched here back in the 80s and was allegedly pretty good prior to me getting here. So don't know a whole lot about him other than I just know who he is. So
wish them all well.
Yeah, it's hard to think that we're in April and 6 weeks from now we'll be talking about sectional time and state tournament time here in about 7 weeks. So it's hard to imagine that schools at that point in time compared to where we were last March, just about 2 weeks ago this time. So
Refresh my memory on the golf coach.
golf coach is Jeff Martin.
Jeff Martin, yes, yes.
So
So,
and JJ Huber's back in town. He's going to be his assistant. So and JJ was the coach prior to Jeff. So that'll be good.
that'll be real good. I know people asking you what we can expect, but everybody else is in the same boat. Everybody would play. They didn't get to play last year. So
We were having that conversation with Coach Thompson the other day. He's like, he's not sure what's coming in either because he doesn't see anybody for over a year. So nobody really, you can't really tell from what they do in the summertime and all the travel things. That's a different animal. So
a lot of these kids play fall and winter sports, though, and we know they're good athletes.
yeah, a lot of them are multiple sport, which we encourage as much as we can. You know, I look at those kids who want to be specialists, then you better be pretty good. And you know, colleges aren't looking for that specialist; they're looking for that good, rounded athlete that can help them in many ways. So.
Well, we wish all the kids the best in the spring, and I would encourage people going out to watch them play whenever you can. And I don't know about any restrictions. I mean, it's all outside.
Yeah, we're outside. We're still blue, so we're 100% occupancy. We do ask you social distance as much as you can. Wear your face mask still when you come in. You know, we're in a government property, so in the buildings we're supposed to still wear our face mask inside. So we do ask you that you wear your face mask when you come. And if you're sitting with your family pods, then that's different. But I will say that the Centerville track meet on Tuesday or Thursday will be minus the shot put in the discus as they just put a new cement slab down and it's not quite ready yet.
Don't want anybody cracking it.
They're going to come here Tuesday to tomorrow. We're going to throw the shot and disc here tomorrow, and we'll just carry that over to Thursday's meet with the rest of them. So we will get it in. Just won't be over there. Be a little different. We'll have a 2-day meet with.
And the track meets are co-ed?
Track meets are co-ed, and that's the hard part because when you get to the tournament, it's not. So the rest is different. The time between events are
Like
different.
swimming, is that one?
Yeah, and you know, we've suggested a few times that we hold some of those sectional track meets on a Saturday so you can run them as co-ed and then have the same experience and the same rest period of time. I know it would take it a lot longer. It takes about 2 to 2.5 hours to run a track meet on a sectional night. So now you're going to maybe not completely double it, but you're going to add another hour and a half or so to the meet. So,
But you already already got your officials there. You already got your
They're
stadium,
assigned, the
your
workers are
stadium
there.
staff, and
sometimes it's easier to get them for 1 day than it is for 2, although we're fortunate we got a lot of great help. So 2 days of track back-to-back in May is not too bad for us on a Tuesday and on a Thursday, but sometimes if we got to do that 3rd day when we used to do the regional or we throw the conference meet in, it's hard to get them to commit to 3 or 4 times in a 2-week period. But maybe in time it'll be on a Saturday.
do you solicit help? Do you need help for?
Well, we're always looking for people that want to volunteer. We've got a lot of people that have either been past athletes or have had kids that have participated that are willing to come back. I always throw Roger Mapes out. Roger's has done it for a long time. He hadn't had kids in the system for many years, but he likes to come and help with the shot put and disc. And obviously Andy Benz taught school here and coached football here. He's still my PA guy, so he's already called and said that, yeah, I can do the PA. So they all look to come back and help and get some teachers do the timing. We got kids that want to help. Trish and Joe Smith have helped with the long jump the last few years. And so it's nice to have the same people that want to come back and be a part of it. And Jamie and Julie help with the curve judges, and Glenn Art helps with the curve judge. We lost one curve judge, so I know we're going to be looking for a curve judge, but we got some middle school coaches that like to come out and help as well. So we'll find a spot, get everybody filled. But anybody's interested, you can always call and ask them, see if we got a spot for you.
And middle school spring sports underway as well.
Softball gears up tomorrow, and baseball's getting ready to start. And I think we have one event this week that I'm aware of, and that's softball tomorrow at home. So doubleheader. They're going to play the first game on the old diamond, while the JV's playing on the new diamond. And when that game's over, assuming the JV game's over, we're going to move them over to play the 8th grade. They're going to play the 7th grade softball game first and 8th grade softball game second. Unfortunately, we don't have lights on the one field, so worried they might run out of daylight before they get a chance to get through there. So we can get our JV girls done, then they'll come over and play on the bigger field.
Good thing we got daylight savings time in effect, or
Does help
or
a
you
little
wouldn't
bit.
get in at all.
Does help a little bit. I try to tell them not to schedule too many double headers in the middle of the week on that field because you could run out of daylight. We get ready to play Rushville here in the girls softball. I think on the 12th. This is going to be a varsity and JV doubleheader, so we're going to play the varsity first. At least that's what they want to do at this time. I guess it could change between now and next Tuesday. or next Monday, but then we're going to play the JV after that. So we'll just have one set of officials, but we'll have 2 games on that night. So it'd be nice if we could do that all the time.
Yeah.
Open up some practice days, less travel time. So give the girls a couple opportunities to practice instead of always traveling to play. So they probably would prefer to play, but practice sometimes is beneficial.
Yeah, it is. Sure is. Practice makes perfect. So.
Perfect practice makes perfect.
Some other things going on. Well, tonight, Monday night, the men's championship game of the NCAA tournament, #1 overall seed Gonzaga plays another #1 seed Baylor, and what an exciting couple of games the other night, semifinals, and Gonzaga. I really don't want to see them win and take being an Indiana fan. I'm being selfish, but
I didn't get to see that
Baylor's
one.
pretty good, and of course their coach is an Indiana guy.
Yeah, Scott Drew, Dad was at Valparaiso for all those years, and Bryce hit the shot in the tournament off the inbounds play to win over Mississippi, if I think, but I could be wrong on that one, whoever it was. But I only got to see the overtime of the Gonzaga game with UCLA, and what a shot. And it wasn't a throw, it was a shot.
It was a shot.
A little long, but that's why there's a bank board.
Banked it in, and yeah, you got to give them credit there, because
well, you think back to
close.
When Matt played at Butler, it's the same similar thing, and just matter of centimeters or millimeters there from just being in and being out. By the same token, the same one that get the Suggs or Scruggs, whichever was shot it from Gonzaga to hit that shot at the end, just could have been just millimeters away from being out as well as it went in.
Who you like tonight?
I actually picked Gonzaga to win, but I didn't watch basketball as much because I couldn't follow it. I never knew what day it was going to be on.
Yeah, that's for sure. Had a thriller last night in the NCAA Women's Championship game. Stanford beat Arizona 54-53, and there again, the young lady, she had a shot at the horn there, and that one didn't go in.
No, I saw the end of that, and it's a heartbreaker for her they didn't go in, but I did see where she had scored the 6th most points in the NCAA tournament history in one tournament. It's like 140-some points in 4 or 5 games, which is putting it up there a little bit, but just a matter of inches again.
Yeah, it was a good game. Really enjoyed that one. But basketball is just about over. Real basketball, high school and college. NBA to me is not.
It
not
just goes too
exciting.
long. I mean, you're playing basketball into June. To me, that's just too far down the road. But hopefully we'll get our people out to watch our spring sports, and we can start tonight with girls softball, and come over to watch the JV baseball game. Softball starts at 5, and baseball starts at 6, and those are the 2 things we have at home tonight. So.
Looks like weather for the first part of the week is going to be pretty good for these outdoor activities. Maybe some rain a little later.
Thursday's a little questionable, and haven't looked past Thursday. I know my track coaches would want to know if they wanted to move the whole meet till tomorrow, but I said they don't want to move their meet. They want to host it. They just can't do shot and disc over there. So, but, track kids are used to running in some cold weather, and as long as it's not lightning, we may not get. They don't pole vault in the TEC, so there's no pole vault since it's Centerville's home meet. So. We just have to worry about the board at the long jump in case it's too slick around the high jump pit to plant. But the races will go on as long as there's no lightning. So,
what sports will play and won't play as long as there's no lightning? If it's raining, there's some sports you can still play.
Well, tennis you can because the court gets too wet,
slick,
and those white lines are really bad when you hit them. So, and then obviously baseball and softball just depends on how well the field's drained. Golf, you can put your rain gear on, unless it's just really, really bad. And
Right.
I've seen it before where it's rained so hard that there's puddles standing on the greens, and then you can't play, obviously, unless you got time to wait for it to get off. So, but pretty much track's going to run. We ran a couple years ago, and there was snowing out there while we were running. So,
Well, Brent, appreciate you all season long, all fall and winter, coming in and sitting in with Fran and me, and we'll look forward to queuing it up again come August.
well, we appreciate you having in the coverage that you give our kids, because that's what it's about. And without them, we don't have sports. So just always appreciative of the coverage that Channel 3 gives to us, as well as the radio at WLPK. So
Thank you. We'll be back come August with more of the Spartan Sports Report. Thanks for watching, everyone.